I have loved every minute of Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 3. This season has not gotten boring to me one time in the almost 4 weeks that it's been out. But even though I like it, I'm not oblivious to the criticisms that a lot of you guys have been leaving on my videos. I'm not a person that thinks that the people that don't like this season just need to adapt. I don't think that it's only competitive players that don't like this season, and I honestly think that there are some people that are justified in their frustrations with Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 3. However, I don't think that the people that are frustrated with this season understand why. And although I don't think this season is bad, I have to admit I don't think this is what Fortnite needed yet. And listen, I know that statement sounds crazy after I've been singing this season's praises for the last few videos, but I think that there's a bigger picture that we need to look at when we're having this conversation. And more importantly, just because I like something doesn't mean that this is the direction that was needed for the overall community. The thing that really opened my eyes to exploring this conversation was actually the Call of Duty community and their reactions to Black Ops 6. But before we get into that, let's take a look at that bigger picture that I was talking about. I don't think anyone is going to argue that this is probably the most controversial chapter in Fortnite history. From the gate, this chapter was ripe with controversy. But see, it's the mixture of all these controversies that led to people being so frustrated with the game right now. I think because of all the drastic changes that Epic has made in Chapter 5, they have lost the trust of the Fortnite community. The Fortnite community, in many ways, is hurting. And I think for certain things, the community is full of a bunch of crybabies, but in other ways, I can understand why it would be a jarring experience for players. See, the vast majority of people that enjoy Fortnite don't look at it the same way that I think I and a lot of my friends do. We are open to Fortnite adapting and making changes, even if we don't like them. If Fortnite makes a season or a change that I don't like, I still find value in that because they're trying to keep the game fresh. They're trying to change things up to keep player interest. There is nothing wrong with the company experimenting, and as a content creator, that's something that I can relate to. Can you guys imagine if I had only stuck to Fortnite theories this entire time? For a lot of my new subscribers, you don't know this, but this channel used to be dedicated to the Fortnite storyline and Fortnite theories, and thank God I stepped away from that. If I didn't branch out and start experimenting into other things, I would not have the audience and the following that I have now, the amazing community full of all you wonderful people. Sometimes as a content creator or a business, you have to step away from the norm in order to either attract a better audience or to create a better product. One thing I will confidently say about Fortnite Chapter 5 as a whole is that, in my opinion, every season has gotten better. Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 1 started off very slow. That's why a lot of people were frustrated. There weren't a lot of updates, there were minimal map changes, we had the terrible cardboard box situation. If you were here on the channel during that time, you know what I'm talking about. Then towards the end of that season, they threw us a curveball and showed us that, hey, live events are still here, we're just bringing them back in a different way. Roll over to Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 2, there was a clear theme that was connected to the previous live event. That was exciting. It felt like they were building up the storyline again. Things are starting to ramp up. They gave us an LTM, they gave us frequent updates, there was a lot of content, but the execution of it was just really odd. After the Midas update, I feel like a lot of people lost interest or fell away from the game because of how it was being handled. Now, from my perspective, I actually liked the changes and the effort that Epic was putting in. The fact that we were getting an update almost every week really made the season feel fresh, especially one as big as that Midas update. There was a lot of hype generated around that. But see, here's the issue, and this is why the community is frustrated. In the midst of these two seasons that I'm talking about, there were a lot of changes that were made that kind of set the community on fire. Whether it's the terrible UI, the lack of attention to weapon attachments, bullet drop being a thing, cosmetic rarity being taken away, the lack of LTMs, more focus on the other modes for the first two seasons. I just think after all these sudden changes, people got really frustrated and it started to look like Fortnite was losing itself. However, going into Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 3, I see them putting a lot of effort into Battle Royale. One of the biggest concerns we had last season was that Fortnite was pushing the BR to the side. We were scared that the other modes were going to take over, but I can't say that that's the case after playing this season and there being so much content in it, which is why I do not believe this could have been an LTM. There's just too much content here, even with what we were given in the first week, that just makes this a completely different experience from the last two seasons. And see, that's where the problem is. Because you have an audience that already feels alienated from the other changes that you've made throughout the course of the chapter, when you throw a big season like Wrecked in that flips the script so much, it feels like another big change that completely takes away from what Fortnite is supposed to be in their minds. Now, for people like me that enjoy variety and like to adapt to different ideas and themes that Fortnite has, we're going to be a bit more excited about this season, and there are a lot of you out there as well. As much as there are casual players that don't like this season, there are also a camp of competitive players that do. I've had a few of you guys comment on my video as well. It's not a black or white situation, and I think when you've got a season this divisive, it actually can prove to be one of the better seasons of a chapter. I honestly think that this season is one that people will look fondly on next year. Just like how everybody everybody crapped on certain elements of Chapter 2 or Chapter 3, and now they're feeling nostalgia for it, I guarantee you, people will look back at this season and be like, you know what? Wrecked wasn't really so bad. One theme I've seen with the Call of Duty community over the last few years is that they're a little frustrated as to how similar their game feels. With Fortnite, we have some of those complaints, but that's generally speaking not what we get frustrated about. We're upset because the game changes so much, but Call of Duty fans are upset that the game has remained the same. I also think that's a bigger deal when you have to pay for a new version of a game every year, but that game is the exact same one you paid for the previous year before. For the last few years, Call of Duty wasn't doing any innovation, they weren't really changing much, they were just reskinning the same video game over and over again, and their community just got tired of it. Ironically, with our community, we get upset when Fortnite has so many changes. And it's weird because we have these moments where people are complaining that Fortnite feels the same or Fortnite's just getting too boring. When we do get something crazy like Wrecked, everybody just gets upset. So it creates this weird dilemma where Epic has to be like, what are we supposed to do? And that's the question I have to a lot of people that don't like this season. What is Epic supposed to do? Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Repeat after me. Split the loopholes. I agree. Yes, that needs to happen. But what does that say about the casual players that don't like this season? Because remember, I don't believe that all the people that are upset with this change are competitive players. There are casuals that don't like this either. This is why I think it's important to accept certain seasons even when we don't like them, to try to find fun in them some kind of way. And that's why I also say if you want to go play a different video game, that's totally fine. Because I don't think it's fair that Epic has to make the game the same way all the time. Because if we had that, the game would really get boring and really get stale. The game would die. They have to take risks, it has to change, and it has to evolve. If there's one thing I will say about Fortnite is that they don't have bad concepts. I don't think there's ever been a single season that conceptually was bad. The idea, the core concept of the season was a bad idea. However, the execution is where we typically have problems. I think when it came to this season, the biggest problem that we had outside of the loot pools not being split were really just the balancing issues. I think when it comes to Fortnite, we can agree that we don't want to destroy the integrity of the core mechanic that made the game popular, which is building. This season was just too much of a drastic change to get a lot of people on board, but I still think this season is a success and a lot of people are enjoying it. I just think that if Fortnite had the ability, they probably should have chosen a different theme or something that was a bit closer to classic Fortnite just to kind of win the community over, and I don't think we're going to see that until we move into OG. The issue is that Fortnite seems to plan these seasons 6 months to a year in advance, so it's impossible for them to just course correct and change everything. Whatever they've made, we've just got to stick with, and that's what I'm saying for Chapter 5. We just have to accept what we get at this point and hope that Chapter 6 is better. Speaking of which, if Fortnite Chapter 6 is going to win the community back, there are a few things that Fortnite needs to learn from Black Ops 6. After seeing the showcase for the new Call of Duty, I have to say it's pretty impressive and it's got me wanting to pick it up. For people that are deeply invested in that community, the things that I'm hearing from them are very promising. It looks like the zombie storyline is not only returning, but continuing from where the old one left off. This innovation with Omni movement looks refreshing while it's still paying respect to classic gameplay with a variety of different maps that cater to different play styles. The story mode looks well thought out and has a variety of different options how you can play it as well. I think that Call of Duty is doing right by their community because they're listening to them. They're giving people what they want while also innovating and making some new changes. I don't think that Fortnite has found that balance yet, but I do think that they're going to course correct, not only with OG this year, but also with Chapter 6 in a really big way. And if they're going in the direction I think they're going, I think it's going to win a lot of players back. And if you want to know what that is, make sure to drop a follow, because in the next video, I'm going to tell you how Fortnite Chapter 6 is going to become OG. I love y'all. I'll catch you soon. Peace out.